Yeah, let's go and let's talk about impermanent loss and DeFi. Let's talk about it, let's explain it, and let's jump straight into it. So what's DeFi in the first place? DeFi stands for decentralized finance. Decentralized is going to be a network to where there's going to be no middleman involved. So say you're trying to send $3,000 through a bank, for example, okay, you, the person, would then go ahead and send the transaction, but the transaction would have to go through the bank first. The bank can go ahead and determine whether or not they want to decline it or put the transaction through. If they say no, then the transaction will be sent back to your account. But using decentralized network, or also known as the blockchain network, transactions can get sent from one person to the other quickly and automatically using smart contracts, which also provides security in order to make sure everything is decentralized. There's no centralized control and everything can automatically be done. So everyone can just get their bread from one person to the other extremely easily and efficiently. And some key components include lending, borrowing, trading, and liquidity provision. And anyone with an internet connection can participate, promoting financial inclusion. So anyone around the world can go ahead and hop into these crypto markets and start trading. And some risks include that smart contract vulnerabilities can go ahead and be in place, and market volatility. So make sure you have your risk parameters in place so you don't just lose money that you aren't prepared to lose. Okay, make sure you know what your stop loss is, you know where you want to close as far as your take profits, and understand the chart before you start throwing any type of money into the markets. And in DeFi, decentralized finance, users maintain control over their assets through non-custodial wallets. Like unlike traditional finances, where banks hold your money, okay, this shift powers to individuals, but requires personal responsibility for security. So cryptocurrency pretty much gives you the ability to be your own bank. You can go ahead and send your currency whenever you want, pretty much almost instantaneously, and go ahead and receive your codes. Okay, and it's going to do this by a long code that you guys can copy and paste, send it to people, or receive someone else's code in order to send money to them. Okay, and if you mistype the code, though, the money can be sent to somebody else or be lost in the void. Okay, so make sure all codes that you do within cryptocurrency, as far as sending money, make sure that everything is exact, make sure it's everything that you need it to be, and pay attention. In a traditional finance, you deposit money in a bank, which lends it out and pays you interest. And in decentralized finance, you supply assets to a protocol like Aave. And this is where borrowers pay interest directly to the suppliers, okay, via smart contracts. And what are liquidity pools in the first place? Liquidity pools are the backbone of decentralized exchanges, also known as DEXs. And they're smart contracts that hold reserves of 2 or more tokens, allowing users to trade without order books. And a pool might contain equal values of Ethereum and USDC. And liquidity providers, also known as LPs, they deposit tokens to earn fees from trades. And trades adjust the pool's ratio based on constant product formulas. The liquidity pools ensure that continuous liquidity is being added into it. Okay, so continuous money is always being flown within the decentralized and crypto markets, unlike centralized exchanges. And popular platforms like Uniswap, SushiSwap, and Balancer are all included too. And the security relies on audited smart contracts, which are the autonomous contracts that make the cryptocurrency space run automatically to prevent exploits. And liquidity pools can be permissionless, which allows anyone to add liquidity. And the concept originated with Uniswap's automated market maker, also known as the AMM model, where the product of tokens quantities remain consistent. Okay, so say for example, a value of X times Y equals K. So for example, creating a liquidity pool, suppose you deposit 1 ETH. Okay, let's say 1 ETH at the moment is just worth 2K for this example. Okay, and let's say you do 2K of USDC. That's a stable coin that goes off of the fiat currency US dollar. Okay, so what a stable coin is pretty much a cryptocurrency version of fiat currency. And what fiat currency is a country's natural currency. So USD is going to relate to USDC, for example. Okay. And the pool now is a constant product of 1 times 2000, which equals 2000. And if someone buys 0.5 worth of Ethereum, they must add enough USDC to maintain the K equals 2000 value. So how automated market makers work in the first place? AMMs are protocols that use mathematical protocols or mathematical formulas to price assets in liquidity pools, enabling decentralized trading. There's some constant product models. It's going to be X times Y equals K. Okay, so X times Y equals K. And that can be calculated via the Uniswap V2. And there's a constant mean model for multi-asset pools. Okay, and Balancer does that. And trade shift reserves, which change the prices. Okay. and slippage occurs on large trades due to pool size. And LPs receive LP tokens representing their shares, and arbitrars keep the prices aligned with external markets. And Uniswap v3 introduced concentrated liquidity to promote market efficiency. And flash loans also integrate with AMMs for complex strategies. So going in depth, the constant product ensures that one asset's quantity decreases and its price increases relative to the other, mimicking supply and demand dynamics. And trading in an AMM. So 10 Ethereum and 20,000 USDC. So let's say K equals 200,000. Okay. The price, $2,000 for USDC / Ethereum. Okay. So you'll buy one Ethereum and at 2,222.22 USDC. Okay. That's going to give you a new X value of 9. Okay. A new Y value of 22,222.22 and a new K value of 200,000. And the price rises due to the fact that the amount of Ethereum was reduced. In arbitrage, an example of it, if the external price is 2,100 USDC, traders buy from a pool until a line, profiting and rebalancing. So let's talk about impermanent loss and permanent loss, also known as IL. Impermanent loss is the temporary loss of value experienced by liquidity providers due to price divergence of pooled assets compared to holding them outside the pool. And impermanent loss occurs when asset prices change after depositing. And impermanent is because it's unrealized until the final withdrawal occurs. And it mainly affects volatile pairs more than stable ones. It's calculated as value in pool versus the value of held. And it's not a bug, but it's a feature of the AMM design. So it's supposed to occur. And impermanent loss can be offset by trading fees earned. And it's a lot worse in one-sided price movement. Okay. And in detail, when prices diverge, the pool rebalances automatically. But LPs end up with one of their more depreciating assets and less of the appreciating one. And here's a simple analogy. Imagine sharing apples and oranges. If apples become more valuable, the pool is going to give you more oranges for cheaper and fewer apples if they're valuable, leading to loss versus just holding them both equally in the first place. And impermanent, also for IL, okay, permanent as prices returning to original ratios eliminate the loss, but the fees accumulate regardless. So here's a simple example of a permanent loss. So let's say you deposit one ETH for 2K. Okay, so 2 bands worth of Ethereum plus 2 bands of USDC. Okay, that's going to give us a total value of cryptocurrency of 4K. Okay, let's say the Ethereum price then decides to go upwards to 4K. Okay, so remember, we bought it at 2K though. So let's say Ethereum goes to 4K. The pool is now going to rebalance. So now 0.707 ETH, okay, we're going to add that plus the 2,828 USDC value, which is going to give us a value of 5,656. And if held, then that 4K Ethereum plus $2,000 of USDC is going to give us 6K. And the impermanent loss, okay, we're going to calculate that by grabbing the 6K and minusing that by the 5,656, okay, which we got from getting the 0.707 ETH plus the 2,828 USDC, which gives us the value of 5,656. Okay, then the original 4,000 plus 2,000 gives us the $6,000 value of USDC. Minus those, and it's going to give us an impermanent loss of $344. Okay, and the STI is going to be 5.73% loss. And the AMM sells some Ethereum for USDC as the price rises, leaving you with less Ethereum when it's more valuable. So the K value is going to equal 1 times 2,000, and that's going to still equal 2,000. Okay, 1 times anything is going to equal the original value. And the new price would be $4,000 for USDC / Ethereum in the pool. Okay, so it's going to be your K value divided by your new price ratio, okay, but simplified, and the loss is going to increase with price deviation. So detailed mathematical calculation of impermanent loss. For a deeper understanding, let's derive the impermanent loss formula. So let's assume there's a 50-50 pool. So we'll do 1/2, okay, 50-50. And let's talk about asset A and asset B, okay. That's going to give us a price ratio of 1, okay. And the new price ratio is going to be P, okay, times value B divided by value A. And the hold value is going to be the initial A times value B plus initial B divided by value P. Okay, and the pool value would be 2 times the initial A times the initial B times the P. And a permanent loss, okay, would equal 1 minus 2 times value P. And then we would divide it 1 plus the initial value of P. Okay. And for P equals 2, that'd be 100% increase. So the permanent loss would be 5.72%. And for P equals 4, the impermanent loss would be 17.16%. And as P approaches infinity, then the impermanent loss is going to go ahead and approach 100%. And the formula shows impermanent loss is symmetric for price increases or decreases, and it depends only on the ratio change. And here's an advanced example. For a 10% price change, P equals 1.1. The impermanent loss would equal 1 minus 2 times the square root times 1.1, okay, divided by 1 plus 1.1, which is going to equal 0.045%, okay? And for 400% change, the P will equal 5, and the permanent loss would be 21.8%. Okay, and once again, as P approaches infinity, as the number increases, the impermanent loss would increase, and it could approach 100%. And some factors affecting the impermanent loss. So volatility. So once again, volatile pairs such as the Ethereum, Bitcoin have a higher impermanent loss risk in the first place. And correlated assets such as stable coins have minimized IL. So like USDC/USDT, something like that. Okay, they have nearly zero impermanent loss due to the fact that there's pegs. Okay, not a lot of fluctuations in between them. And the time of the pool, the longer exposure increases the impermanent loss probability. And there can be higher pool fees. Higher fees can also offset the impermanent loss and price deviation. Larger changes cause exponential impermanent loss. And pool weights, non-50/50 pools alter IL dynamics. And larger pools have less slippage but similar IL. And market events as well too. Black swan events amplify IL. So news, be on the lookout for that. And in practice, choose pairs wisely. Okay, determine what you want to play and make sure you're not going to go ahead and be taking losses, trading something that's too volatile, hurting your account in the long run. We're here to make some money at the end of the year, not just get some instant bread in our hands right now. Stablecoin pairs like USDC, USDT, once again, have near zero IL due to pegs. Okay, and they have a real factor impact. During the 2022 crypto crash, LPs and volatile pairs like ETH/altcoins, for example, suffered a massive impermanent loss and prices plummeted unevenly. Okay, so make sure you're monitoring on-chain data for volatility predictions. Keep checking your charts. And here's some strategies to mitigate impermanent loss. Okay, provide liquidity for correlated assets. Okay, and Uniswap v3 allows range-bound positions. And impermanent loss insurance. Protocols like Bancor offer protection. And you can also hedge too. You can use options and futures to offset losses. Okay. And short-term provision. Enter/exit during low volatility. And automated managers. You can use vaults like Yearn for optimized LP, and diversified pools means that it's spreading across multiple pairs. And you can calculate break-even by ensuring your fees is larger than your expected IL. In Uniswap v3's ranges lets LPs act like limit orders, reducing impermanent loss exposure outside of the ranges in general. And here's a mitigation example. In Bancor, single-sided staking, okay, which is going to be used to create like Ethereum, for example, instead of POW, which is used to create Bitcoin when power is exchanged. Okay, so single-sided staking with impermanent loss protection. And after a vesting period, the protocol compensates for losses via token emissions. Always do your own research. No strategy is going to be risk-free. Okay. And here's some pros and cons of providing liquidity. So pros, you can earn trading fees. So you can get like a 0.3% on Uniswap, for example, and it can help you earn passive income. So you can get a lot of rewards from farming, okay, if you're staking or through LP tokens. There's a lot of support ecosystem too. It boosts DeFi's liquidity. And the more people trading is going to be the better. And compounding. Okay, you can reinvest fees for growth as well too. Okay, and opportunity cost. Locked funds miss other gains, and gas fees can be high on Ethereum sometimes. Okay, and sometimes smart contracts can be susceptible to hacks or bugs, but as laws and regulations decide to come on through, then things start to get more secure. And net outcome is going to depend on the volume, okay, the fees versus the volatility, okay, the impaired loss. So net outcome, okay, it's going to be the fees versus implied or impaired loss. Okay, and during bull markets, high volume offsets impaired loss, and in bear markets, impaired loss dominates. Okay, and tools like APY.vision help track your impaired loss versus your fees. Okay, so stay prayed to God, keep grinding, and impaired loss is a risk in AMM liquidity provision due to the price changes. Okay, balances with fees and rewards are a possibility, and you can use mitigation strategies like concentrated liquidity in order to help yourself out. Throw your trades and calculate and monitor your apparent loss in your positions. And the decentralized finance community is always evolving, and you can stay informed at Stackmode to learn how to trade. Okay, I'm going to keep dropping for you guys. Keep grinding. Stay prayed to God. Keep grinding, and don't ever give up. Catch you in the next one. Peace.